Okay, we're rolling.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Podcast series. Glad to have you back with me again. We're still plugging along, right? Episode 724. We're on a 365-day marathon of podcasts about podcasting. We are one of the very few daily, every day, 7 days a week, 365 days in a row, podcasts about podcasting. So thank you for hitting play. There's a lot of content coming your way and a lot behind you in the rearview mirror as well. So whenever you have time, I'd love to go with you on your trips. Wherever you're going, take me with you. I promise to behave myself and keep you company at the same time. Thanks for being here. Thanks for pressing play. I was listening to a podcast about podcasting. This one's different though. This one sits in a different space for me. This one is one that I listen to here and there, not every time. But it's a show that frustrates me. Now, I can speak openly about this show and bash this show to my sheer delight. Why? I don't like to bash any other podcaster at all, ever. That's not how I operate. Even though a lot of podcasts about podcasting really frustrate me because the advice is very slanted towards their own thing that they're selling or the company that they work for or the company that's bought their podcast, whatever, fill in the blank. I'm not a tie to anybody above me for this show. It's just me, just Dave. So I don't have to worry about all of that stuff, right? I don't have to get permission to talk to you, basically. So all these other shows, they do frustrate me at times, but tolerable. Like in small doses, from a safe distance, I can enjoy their show. But when I can talk about this specific podcast, and I'm going to rip it apart today, and I'm going to do it, and I really don't care what they think. And you're like, Dave, that doesn't sound like you. Well, yeah, you'll find out in a second why. But I'm just going to let them have it, because I heard probably one of the stupidest things ever in podcasting. Like, completely asinine that they would ever do this on a show. And I'm going to make public spectacle of this podcast. And you're like, Dave, simmer down there, buddy. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And you can't stop me. And I hope you stick around, because I think I'm going to prove my point. Are you ready to throw down? I'm ready to throw down. Let's go. So if I'm making you nervous, take a step back for a second, just a second. This is a podcast about podcasting. And it's created by AI, voiced by AI. There's no humans involved in the creation of this content that I'm going to play for you. It's completely made by AI. Okay? So I feel free to, and feel that I can, without hurting the feelings of a computer, to make light of the conversation you're about to hear as two AI voices. It sounds like Google Notebook LM, because there's a male voice and a female voice back and forth. And they have very typical type radio voices. Okay. And these two AIs are discussing the need for human connection in podcasting and why it's so important. And this is being voiced and created, everything from beginning to end, by AI. Right? Yeah. Two computers talking about why podcasts need to lean into their humanity. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, a link to the podcast in the show notes. If you want to enjoy this, then go check it out. But I brought out just a clip from their conversation and put it here. I didn't really have to ask permission because it's a computer and there's nobody there when you call them or email them because it's a computer. And obviously, these two podcasters are never going to win a podcast award, I hope, because they're not even real and they'll never be in the Podcast Hall of Fame or whatever that is. Because how the heck are they going to accept their award? Walk across the stage as two laptops? Like, I don't understand. Anyway, So you can hear my bias. Dave, your bias is showing. Tuck that in. Here is a little clip from a AI-based podcast, voiced by AI, talking about the fact that humanity is key to podcasting. I find it a little ironic, as Alanis Morissette would say. Don't you think? Here we go. So I'm going to jump in here and add my 2 cents here and there, but I'll try to keep it all make sense so that you can still get the context. And again, you can go listen to the whole thing if you want. Link in the show notes. But here we go. This made me stop at work at like 3:30 in the morning and went, oh, you and I got to talk about this. Here we go.
The unique power of this medium is that deeply personal, parasocial relationship between the listener and the host. But, as our sources point out, there is a looming threat to that exact authenticity.
Yes. The AI threat.
The AI threat.
Yeah.
Because the data shows that listeners are actually generally okay with podcasters using AI behind the scenes for logistical tasks.
Right.
Like, they don't mind if a host uses AI for research or brainstorming topics or maybe drafting a social media post.
The boring stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, the boring stuff. But the moment AI starts replacing the human elements of the show itself, the audience completely recoils.
They hate it.
So, first of all, do you notice they've actually put the breath back into the podcast? You can hear the breath for the the voices speaking. I can be careful. The voices speaking in the podcast. There's actually a breath in there. I'm like, come on. All the editors out there in podcast land are probably going, wait, they're putting them back in? What have I been doing for the last 20 years? Yeah, they're putting them back in to make them sound, air quotes, human. And yeah, we hate it when we expect our podcast to be human and they're not. Let's continue.
62% of consumers view AI as a direct threat to a podcast's credibility, its creativity, and its quality.
And remember that 73.5% of stats are completely made up and have no substantial relevance at all. And so we continue with a great story about the time when apparently these AI voices went to a restaurant, which would be interesting. Here we go.
I think about this like finding a quirky mom and pop diner in your neighborhood.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Right. Like you go there every Sunday because you trust the chef, you love the waitstaff, and you just appreciate the atmosphere. But if you walk in one day and find out that a robot in the back kitchen has secretly been baking the pies this whole time, the dynamic just breaks.
It shatters, yeah.
Even if the pie tastes exactly the same, the currency of that diner was trust and human connection.
Trust and human connection, like we're having right now with 2 AI voices talking about how humanity in podcasting is so important. Trust. Oh, this is rich. Okay, well, let's continue.
Knowing someone's hands made it with the actual value proposition.
And the betrayal is the key part of that analogy, right?
Betrayal. Like what's happening right now.
Oh, completely.
You wouldn't just stop eating the pie. You would actively tell your friends not to go to the diner anymore.
Exactly. You'd be mad.
So I'm mad, apparently. Don't listen to this podcast. I told you to listen to it. You should link in the show notes, but don't, because it's a betrayal. They just said it. I'm just repeating it. Well, let's continue.
And that is what happens when AI replaces podcast hosts or scriptwriters. If the audience discovers the host didn't actually research the topic or didn't actually write the jokes, the bond is completely severed. The value is the humanity, flaws and all.
It's like rain on your wedding day. Yeah. There is no humanity in this podcast. AI voices, you're not real. This is really weird. Okay, continue.
Which really highlights a fascinating tension here.
Yeah.
You have 12 corporate executives sitting in a boardroom trying to write universal, standardized rules for a medium that is entirely powered by messy, unscripted human authenticity.
It's so true.
They are basically trying to slap a standardized tracking pixel onto a human relationship.
Yeah, it is an industry trying to impose rigid legacy media structures onto a format whose entire appeal was that it broke all the legacy media rules in the first place.
So the computers are talking about the idea of measurement of podcasts and coming to an agreed upon standard. What's a play? What's a listen? A bunch of suits sitting around a table trying to decide for you and me, the language we're supposed to use and the understanding we're supposed to have about podcasting. And their suits, they're probably people from marketing and they're advertisers and bigwigs and people who probably don't even have a podcast deciding the fate of podcasting. That's what they're referring to. And for me, they're about the equivalent of two AI voices trying to discuss the humanity of podcasting. Both are in the same boat for me. Irrelevant. And still we continue.
So to bring this all together, the next time you turn on your TV to watch a podcast in your living room, remember this. Your changing habits are the reason a task force has been locked in a boardroom since 2025 trying to figure out what to call this thing.
Yep.
You broke the mold just by migrating from your commute to your couch.
You really did. And it leaves us with a lingering question to ponder long after this deep dive ends today.
Oh, I love a good lingering question.
And oh, how I love a great deep dive. Because deep dive. Let me say it again. Deep dive. Let's deep dive, everyone. Because AIs love to deep dive. Deep dive.
Well, as this task force scrambles to define a podcast strictly to secure $1 billion in ad money, and as video and AI continue to dissolve the boundaries of traditional media, will the word podcast eventually lose its original meaning entirely?
Oh, wow.
Right.
Well, I guess I'm changing the show name to How to AI Voice. An AI voice. Talking about AI voices instead of the How to Podcast series. How to AI Voice series, everyone. And I'll go get an AI voice. I'll be right back.
Because if a podcast can be a highly produced video on a flat screen TV, or eventually an AI-generated persona delivering customized news, maybe the word podcast no longer describes a specific audio file delivered via an RSS feed.
And maybe I can unplug you from the wall and shut you off because you're a computer. Maybe I can do that. I don't know. I could. And still we go on.
It's outgrown the definition.
Exactly. Maybe in the very near future, podcast will simply become the catch-all term for any piece of media where we feel a deep parasocial relationship with the person on the other side of the screen.
I have a parasocial relationship with something I stepped on in the backyard after my dog went outside and did its business. I guess that's podcast as well.
A truly fascinating thought to leave on. Keep diving deep.
Apparently, podcasts are all about submarines and underwater exploration because we keep diving deeper and deeper and deeper. Eventually, it's a little dangerous when you go too deep. And so this, again, is a podcast about podcasting that I don't mind mocking because I can't hurt an AI's feelings because it's a computer. And yeah. So if you love AI voiced podcasts, I would love to hear from you. I want to know why you love them as much as you do. I want to know why you choose AI voiced podcasts over human created and curated and voiced shows. I'm not here to judge you for your listening habits and what you find interesting and entertaining and informative. Hey, people have those things in the kitchen where you can speak to it and it gives you the weather, right? I'm not going to say the word because it might spark yours. But technically, they're AI voiced, right? It's an AI assistant. So I'm not anti any of this stuff. But when AI voices pretend to speak on behalf of humanity about why humanity is so important in podcasting, yet there's not a single human involved in the creation of said content, that's where it gets a little weird. And I just don't want us to become irrelevant. I want us to keep the humanity in podcasting. I want to keep the relationship with you. I don't want to just offload my relationship with you listening to the How to Podcast series to some voice and some computer prompt that goes out into the internet, finds the content, creates the content, writes up the script, gives it to an AI voice. AI voice will voice it on my behalf, even using a sample of my own voice, which sounds like a robot version of Dave, but can voice it kind of like Dave and puts it out. And I don't even need to be here. Like, I could go do something else. It's going back to my episode where I talked about I drive a standard manual transmission in my car because I love the act of driving. I like the joy of driving. An automatic car is boring for me because I'm not like involved in the machinery of driving the vehicle. Now, you might not like a manual standard transmission car, which is fine. But I like all the moving pieces that I need to do to get from point A to point B. I like it as a challenge. I'm actually physically part of the process. Okay? So you have a manual transmission where you're doing everything. Automatic, you do some things. Some things are there to help you. You don't have to change gears. It does it automatically. That's why it's an automatic. And then you have the brainless self-driving cars where you're just a passenger. And you don't even get to experience the joy of driving. I'm finding people are leaning really far into the driverless car approach to podcasting, where they're taking their hands off the steering wheel, metaphorically and physically, and letting AI just run the show. I think there's going to be a reckoning coming in the future where people who have fallen in love with doing less are going to be like, how come I'm not growing? Well, you're not growing because you sound like everybody else, because you're using the same tools that everyone else is using. Thus, you're no different. The same prompt you put in, I can put in, and we can get something close to the same response. So information is now a commodity, but insight and humanity and a real person talking to real people can't be duplicated to this extent. And the moment we all become hands-off, self-driven content creators, it's kind of like that Wall-E movie where you have a lot of people just sitting in chairs, having everything given to them. Nobody lifts a finger to do anything anymore. And the whole space becomes just saturated with a bunch of nothing. And that is the emptiest feeling ever. Let's keep podcasting human. Let's keep our voices active. Let's use the AI to help us and speed up and give our time back so we can spend time with our family. Great. Let's use tools to make our podcast sound better. Awesome. That's a great idea. But the moment you move from a manual transmission where you do everything to an automatic, okay, that's fine. You're still driving. You're still in control of the car. You're still making the decisions. You still can decide if I want to go left or right, stop or go faster. You're still in the driver's seat. But when you move to the passenger seat and you no longer have input on where we're going and how we get there, that's when I think we're running into problems in podcasting and in content creation, because we're no longer the ones that are captaining where we're going. And I think that's the danger point in podcasting. So please, put your hands back on the wheel. Take over and push that button that disables the self-driving aspect of content creation and get back to work. The people are here for you, not your prompts. I don't need you if I know how to prompt and get the same response you're going to get. I don't need you. What I do need is your humanity, your connection, your care, your love, your passion, your stories, your humanity. Not those two voices that you just heard telling us that humanity is key to podcasting and they're not even humans. Please. For all the love of all things podcasting, keep podcasting. We'll talk to you soon. So here at the How to Podcast series, we love to hear from you. You might think that we get a lot of feedback. Man, we don't. We don't get a lot because people just feel like, why bother? Like, why does Dave really care what I have to say? And I do. I actually do really care what you have to say. I love your input. I love hearing from you. And we've started a survey for our listening audience, which includes you right here, right now. And I'd love, love, love for you to head over to howtopodcast.ca. And you'll see our survey right there on our website. And take a few minutes, come through, answer the thoughtful questions we're asking of you to make the show better. Not just for you, but for everyone. Your feedback is really going to help shape the show. And I, selfishly, just want to hear from you. So if you're thinking, Dave probably already knows what I think, I don't. I really don't. I'm not good at reading minds. My wife will confirm that completely. So I don't really know what you think of the show. I don't know if you like it, if you like how long the show is, how long the episodes are, that Dave's doing 365 episodes in a year. Oh my gosh. Like, I would love to hear from you and get your thoughts on this very show right here. So head over to howtopodcast.ca, click on our survey link. It's also in the show notes for every episode, in the most recent episodes, and I'd love to hear from you. So as a listener of this here very show, your feedback can make this show so much better. So much better. And I'm not drowning in emails and voice messages and speak pipes and buy me a coffees right now. So I'm putting the ask out to you right now, as a listener of the show, and you're still here, that you take a moment, head over to our website, click the link in the show notes for any episode, and go to our survey and let us know your thoughts about this show, how it could be better, and what you love, and what you're like, Dave, can you stop doing this? That would be really helpful. Thanks for being here and being part of the How to Podcast family. See you over at howtopodcast.ca. Talk soon. Thanks for being here. Bye. You're still here? That is fantastic. Thank you for sticking around, letting me have my venting session. Appreciate it. I put a little bonus content at the end of the episode for those people who are brave enough to stay to the end. So you're one of the brave ones. Thank you for being here and being part of the show. I just want you to know I really appreciate every time you come to this podcast. And I hope that every time you leave here challenged, inspired, you get this little sense of my humanity, key point, my weirdness. And I hope that our relationship develops over time where I get the joy and benefit of actually having time with you. I think that's the coolest thing ever. So thank you for that. Simple question from a new podcaster. It's a common question that I think a lot of seasoned podcasters get annoyed with. It doesn't bother me because you can't assume that everybody knows what you know. And you can't be annoyed by what you think is a simple, and some podcasters will actually say a stupid question. I don't see it as that at all. What do I need to start my podcast as far as gear? No, I do like a microphone, and I do like using my computer, and I do like using a recording software. That's kind of my approach. Now, I've been in music business for 46 years, recording bands, being in the studio, being recorded, being on stage. So music and me, like we've been best friends for a very long time. So I have that side of my life. So bringing that into podcasting, I have everything I need. I don't need to buy anything. I had everything here, really. So I don't really struggle in that area, but you might not have that. I don't anticipate you having to spend any money on anything when you want to start a podcast. For the most part, most of us will have some way to record our voice. A lot of us have a phone, and our phone has a microphone built into it. Otherwise, it's not a phone. I don't know what that is. You would actually be able to record a voice note. You can call yourself and leave yourself a message, right? So there's a way to do this. But record yourself. And I would say just practice for a while. There's no rush to creating your podcast because it's never existed before and nobody knows that you're doing this really. You've told a few people you're interested, but there's nothing to listen to. So go practice. Use your phone. And just practice talking. Have a topic, talk for 5 minutes, hit stop. Listen to it and go, how can I make that better? and then do it again. Delete it, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. Just use your phone. Find out if you like podcasting. Some podcast hosting sites will give you like 90 days free on their platform. Some will give you that even without a credit card. Spotify for Creators is always free. That's what this podcast is hosted on. I don't pay any monthly fee to get my content from my microphone to you through Spotify for Creators. So that's another option. Again, I can help you with all this. But create some episodes and put them out there, get some feedback. Before you do anything, you could do a little micro podcast, I like to call them, where you have a couple episodes and just talk about something unrelated to the topic that you really want to podcast about. But just talk about something else and put it out there, get some feedback. How am I? Do I ramble? Do I get to the point? Is this engaging? Is this interesting? Would anybody listen to this? And maybe someone like Dave, myself here, hi, I'll listen to your show and give you feedback and say, that was really long. That was really short. You could probably tweak here. You could probably do this there. It's just practice. It's like going to the batting cages, swinging a baseball bat at a ball that's been shot at you at 100 miles an hour. You're going to get feedback. You haven't hit the ball yet. You're swinging too early. You're swinging too late. Don't be afraid of the ball. All that's feedback. And baseball players get that all the time. Baseball players don't just know how to hit a home run. They practice. They do. Your podcast is not going to be a home run. Right from the start, it's not, because you don't know what you're doing. You've never done this before. You're not a professional speaker. You haven't spoken on stage in front of thousands of people. You've never done this. You work at a store. You work in IT. You're a librarian. You've never done this before. And all of a sudden, you're now recording your voice for the first time. So go practice. Just use your phone. And then once you've done a few episodes, you've done a few recordings, whether they go out into the world or they just live on your phone, get feedback. Email them to somebody. Have somebody listen to them. Somebody who knows about podcasting, not somebody who has no idea what a podcast is. They're not going to be able to give you the right feedback for you to help you get better. They might be encouraging, but they might not be really accurate with what they're saying. And their opinion matters, but not when it comes to the mechanics of podcasting. So get some feedback. And then once you've decided on how I'm going to do my podcast, then get advice and some recommendations from somebody you trust, I hope it's me, on what kind of equipment would work best for your situation, because everybody's different. Every podcast is different, and you need the right stuff for the right application within your podcast. And I'd love to help you. So start with your phone and don't spend any additional money for now until you figure out what the next step is. And don't podcast alone. Come join our meetup group. We'd love to have you there. We support each other and help each other in podcasting and get to meet some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Don't do podcasting alone. Come join our meetup at howtopodcast.ca. See you tomorrow.